If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Hired March of 2020, Sylacauga Fire Chief Nate Osgood joins us this morning. And Chief, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy Dale. How are you?
I'm well. Good to have you with us today. And, we've been wanting to have Josh on, and we just crossed paths a few days ago at an event. And I said, hey, let's get this done. And, of course, our fire department in Sylacauga, so important. And we've got Nate here to talk about it a little bit this morning. Nate, first of all, who is Nate Osgood?
So I'm an Elmore County native, so I'm a transplant to the area, but live on some family property with my wife and my 6 kids, and we have a big happy family down there on the farm. So
that sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Has this been one of your dreams as a fireman?
So I actually grew up throughout my entire childhood wanting to follow in the footsteps of my grandfather, who was a law enforcement officer. And when I turned 18, I joined the local volunteer fire department and really had the intention of networking and getting my foot in the door with public service. Didn't have the intention of actually pursuing the fire service, and I fell in love with it, and as they say, the rest is history.
I work with the funeral home and do corner calls and things like that, and those volunteer firefighters, first responders, boy, they got a special place in my heart because they do a lot of great work, and hardly anybody ever notices them, but buddy, they're there getting the job done.
There's no doubt. I mean, 98% of the U.S. geographically is covered by volunteer fire departments. So the volunteers in the area, and they're hurting right now too, Jimmy Dale. I mean, they really are in the volunteer world. If people are looking for a place to plug in and help the community, that is a great spot to get plugged in.
Yeah, and we got several of them here in our area too. I know we worked with 2 down in a motorcycle wreck on Monday night, Lay Lake right. and Fayetteville volunteer fire departments, and they knew what to do. And I just kind of got out of the way.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That was a unfortunate event there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, you have been the fire chief for Sylacauga since 2020.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about some of the changes you've seen since you've become chief.
Sure. So I'll take you a little bit back through some history of the department. Going back to 2011 when Chief Tommy Abrams retired. I became the 5th
That's
chief.
my cousin now. Talk nice about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When he retired, from that point up through March when I was appointed, I became the 5th chief in 10 years in the department.
Wow.
And so it's obviously tough to get much of anything going organizationally and leadership wise when you're swapping leadership every 2 to 3 years. So we really started right from the bottom. We started with a mission and vision analysis for our department as an officer corps to get everybody on the same page, to get everybody pulling in the same direction. We have 3 different shifts, and it's so easy for those 3 different shifts to operate like 3 different fire departments. And that's not what we want. We want all 3 shifts to be unified and pulling in the same direction.
What hours are those shifts?
24-hour shifts.
Oh, wow.
So we work 24 hours on, and then you get 48 hours off as the next 2 shifts rotate.
Walk us through a normal 24-hour shift if you can.
Well, you come in first thing in the morning, you check off all your trucks, all your equipment, you make sure everything's in working order. If something's not, of course, we address it and shuffle it out to the city shop, which does a great job taking care of our equipment. And after the morning routine is over and done with, of course, everybody gets woken up and has a cup of coffee and all of that good stuff. And we have training to do on a daily basis. We have various, public engagement events to do. Of course, routine annual testing like pump testing or ladder testing or hose testing or you name it. Things are always going on. Checking fire hydrants we have to do annually. Going around to all the businesses and performing what we call pre-fire plans, where we're identifying potential hazards. I mean, it's a nonstop thing. Obviously, there's some downtime in there. Everybody knows we love to eat and cook around the fire station, so we try to make a habit of doing that together as a shift. But after 5 o'clock, we try to kind of wind things down on a business end, unless there's just something significant going on in the evening times. Of course, we're there for it, but 24/7, we're there to respond to calls too.
What I know in funeral homes, deaths,
Yes.
there is a time that is an epitome of when deaths happen, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
What about fires? When do more fires burn?
So it's hard to put a time on that. I mean, you can run reports, but in our area particularly, and I'm talking Sylacauga, there has not been a historically more significant time during one time of the day or another. Now, I will say the vast majority of the fires that we do see are cooking related. So fire prevention talk, right? PSA here. The unattended cooking is without a doubt is absolutely the most significant portion of our fire calls. Whether it be somebody fell asleep while something was on the stove, sometimes people just get absent-minded and walk outside and are outside talking to their neighbor or what have you. But that's the majority of what we see as far.
I bet you do a lot of educational stuff, don't you?
We try. We definitely do. And again, with the cycle of the department, years ago we did a lot of public education, and then it kind of went through a time where we weren't doing quite as much, and we're building that back up. But certainly for Fire Prevention Month, we go to the schools every year. We're working on expanding that to more schools, working with the high school. Of course, the new superintendent, Dr. Eller, she came from Eufaula where they did an Explorer program. And we've had one conversation where she expressed interest about pursuing that, and I would love that. So we have good things coming.
With the 4th of July coming up.
That's right.
I know you want to touch on some safety tips for the 4th of July, and some people listen and some don't, and usually the ones that don't get hurt.
That's right. I think most of us have done things that maybe we shouldn't have growing up as kids when it comes to fireworks and bottle rockets and whatever else. But there's no doubt.
Man, I've done some stupid stuff.
You're not alone, I can assure you. But they really can hurt you.
Yeah.
They really can. Just a quick story from my early teenage years. We had piled a bunch of fireworks together, me and a bunch of buddies, and the mortars, the ones that really go up and explode. One of the guys didn't know what it was, and so he found this thing with a really long fuse on it, and he lit it and threw it out in the street. And next thing you know, we've got spot fires all over the yard from it blowing up, and those are the real dangers. People can get hurt. So adult supervision, obviously, if you're going to be setting off the significant fireworks, eye protection. In case things happen, right? You can't control everything, and they don't always work like you expect. So, just be safe. Keep the area around where you're setting fireworks off clear, and it's always fun. We don't want to cut down on anybody celebrating because it's an important thing, but do it safely.
Yeah, and we used to shoot off black cat firecrackers. But there's some things out there today that can cause a loss of a hand or an eye or a hand or an ear.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry, no doubt. They really can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing and you're not doing it safely.
So when one is going to the fireworks store to buy fireworks, what do you recommend? You're not wanting little kids to go in there and buy them without an adult with them, are you?
Well, that comes back to the adult supervision side, and I don't know all of the laws. Obviously there are rules related to actually the purchase and selling of fireworks, but when it comes to actually setting them off, if you don't know what it is or don't know how to do it, then just refrain from doing it.
Just this past weekend, one of the most horrific tragedies down on I-65.
Yes.
Vigo hydroplane some stories 16, 18 vehicles involved, but there was immediate fire.
Yes.
And people not being able to get out of their vehicles, and that fire, that's got to be a horrible feeling for a fireman or a first line person trying to get to that vehicle knowing that they can't.
One of the worst nightmares, no question about it. Of course, I can't speak to that incident specifically because I wasn't there, but I can only imagine. And that kind of goes into one of the major developing areas that we're working on in the fire service, which is mental health. The rate of suicides is higher in firefighters and first responders than the average population. And it's not necessarily always one incident or one call. A lot of times it's the repeated over 20 years. You have this mental trauma of seeing, these horrific events. And it really does take a toll, and we're working on trying, as a fire service as a whole, we're working on trying to get better at identifying and preventing a lot of that.
How many firefighters do we have here locally?
So in Sylacauga, we currently have 22 full-time positions, and then we have some part-time positions as well. And our part-timers come in and they work a 24-hour shift. They're just not always quite as set schedule as our full-time personnel.
Now, are we in need of firefighters now?
So we're a couple short right now.
Okay.
We're going through a hiring process. In fact, we have our job opening posted to accept applications through July 2nd. So if anybody is interested in pursuing a career in the fire service, you can come to City Hall between 8 and 4 and turn in an application. You got to be 18 years or older, and that's about the only and have a driver's license. So that's about the only requirements to turn in an application.
It's so competitive with other towns. Everybody's looking for seasoned employees, and Sylacauga Fire is in the same situation.
That's right. Well, I mean, you look at the job world in general today, and everybody's looking to hire, and we're no exception. But we're the fire service has always been one of those sources of pride, right? I mean, it's a service that it's a career field that you get into that's a true service to the community, and that means a lot.
Give us some fire safety tips for the home this morning.
So I mentioned the cooking already. That's a big one. Pay attention. Obviously, smoke detectors. Depends on the studies you look at. Of course, there's variation, but most of the studies agree that over 90% of all home fire fatalities occur in homes without working smoke detectors. And that is a massive number. 9 out of every 10 fire deaths across the U.S. occur in homes without working smoke detectors.
That's phenomenal.
So smoke detectors save lives, there's no doubt about it. Now they have smoke detectors at Walmart that have a 10-year battery. You don't have to worry about changing the battery anymore. You put them up, 10 years later they start beeping, you throw it in the trash can and go get a new one. If you still have ones that have 9-volt batteries, we recommend changing them every time you change your clocks, twice a year, every 6 months. Close before you doze is another big public service announcement we've been working on. And that basically means that when you go to sleep, close your bedroom door. If a fire occurs somewhere in your house, that door being closed gives you a lot of extra time to either get out or let us get to you. It makes a very significant difference. It really does.
A lot of people, 4th of July, are going to be grilling. And I've seen and I've participated in some of the craziest ways of grilling, and probably 2/3 of it you wouldn't want to do using the stuff that we use. So you got to be careful.
That's right. Well, I mean, it goes back to that adage that common sense isn't so common anymore a lot of times. but without a doubt. Again, not to cut down on anybody's fun or anybody's celebrations, but you just have to be safe when you're working around those things.
What type grill is recommended?
That's probably neither here nor there. I mean, whether you want to get some type of wood burning pellet grill, smoker, gas grill, you name it, they can all be used properly or improperly.
I have a lot of seniors in our area, And oftentimes us as seniors, we're a little bit slower than we were in our prime of our life, and sometimes we need a little bit more care as far as, I got a smoke detector, and I don't know if it works or not work.
Right.
Can you guys help them with that?
So we're always willing to help. Unfortunately, in today's world, a lot of times good things get held up by liability concerns, and that's very unfortunate that we're in that position. So we do have to be careful on that line. Generally we're not going to come and screw a smoke detector up in the ceiling for you, but if there's an issue with the battery that just simply somebody doesn't have anybody else to help with, we try to help however we can help. And that goes right back to our mission statement. I mean, our mission statement is to provide the highest standards in emergency services to protect life and property. And whatever we can do to meet that mission within the boundaries set forth, to us, we're going to do it. Smoke
Inhalation is, I guess, more of a killer than an actual fire, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And again, right, the world has progressed. So what is in a home now? Your carpets, your drapes, your furniture, everything, even cabinetry. It's all synthetic materials. You don't have any more couches that are, wooden 2x4s covered up by cotton, cotton fabric. You're talking about plastic pieces covered with, nylon or you name it, and polyester, and the cushions are polyester, and that stuff gives off very, very toxic and noxious smoke when it burns. And that's why, like in the fire service, when we conduct training burns, we can't use any of that stuff for that very reason. We have to use natural materials, stuff you would burn in a campfire.
What are some of the needs that our fire department has today?
So one of the things that we're beginning to tackle right now, which is I'm so excited about, is the city has actually designated the old Mountain View School property to the fire department as our fire department training facility. We will be actually this week we began doing some work over there, and it's going to be a lot of sweat equity by the firefighters here. Everybody's excited about it, but we're going to be turning that into a place where we can actually conduct good quality, realistic, necessary training activities so that we can provide the highest standards in emergency services to the citizens of Sylacauga.
Do we have female firefighters?
So we have one. Firefighter Kelly is here. Obviously, anybody can do this job if they put in the work to do it. And so
let me just say this then. Why would someone want to become a firefighter here in Sylacauga, Alabama?
We have worked on developing a professional development plan, and one of our captains has a saying that's included in the introduction to that professional development plan, which is that Sylacauga really is a very difficult place to learn to become a firefighter, because here in Sylacauga, we're a small department. We have that all hazards approach that the modern fire service has now taken. It doesn't matter if you're talking about high angle rope rescue, if you're talking about confined space technical rescue, vehicle extrication, car wrecks, structure fires, hazardous materials, you name it, the list goes on and on. You have to know how to do all of that. And we have to be able to respond and mitigate any incident to which we are called. But how often do we actually do all of that? Not always very often, which is a great thing, but when the time comes, there's no excuse for not knowing how to do your job. And so we do a lot of that mindset of we've got to know how to do everything. And I've always said the first line of a firefighter's job description should be, when nobody else can, you have to figure it out. Because if somebody has a problem and they don't need the police department, they don't need the ambulance, they're probably calling the fire department.
Oh, Nate Osgood, our guest this morning, Sylacauga Fire Chief for over a year now. Excellence and efficiency in public service, and what a great theme, and you guys do a great job. And you got the downtown fire station. You got one up on 21 up there as well.
That's right. So we have an engine at each station, plus a ladder and a rescue truck here at Station 1, and our shift captain who runs shift. Like you mentioned earlier, people, staffing, always something we're looking at, looking to improve, looking to increase. The growth of the city is going to dictate what we need in the future.
Yeah.
A third station on the 280 corridor is probably in the plans in the future. Exactly when and where, who knows at this point. That growth is gonna dictate how the fire department.
Where does the monies come from to fund our fire department? Through the city?
It does, yes, sir. Yep, comes straight through tax revenue. We're about to start the next budgeting process to take over October 1st. So it's we just like every other city department, we go in there and submit our budget requests, and when it's all said and done, we have a certain amount of money allotted to us to run the department for the year.
I had a friend, and we're almost through, but I just want to mention this morning. I had a friend one time who had a cat.
Yes.
Cat gets up in a tree, and cat won't come down.
Yes.
So they do everything they can. The cat's obviously afraid. They can't get the cat down, so they call the fire department.
Yes.
The fire department, they get the cat down. And I thought when I was told that, firefighters do a lot of things that we never even know about.
Yes, sir.
That is helping.
That's right.
Whether it's helping people or helping the family and who's got a pet and they're upset and they don't want to lose their pet and all that kind of stuff.
That's right. Well, and I'll preface the cat in the tree rescue, because that's kind of a classic cliche for the fire department. As a general rule, the risk versus benefit analysis for climbing way up into a tree to rescue a cat oftentimes isn't there. Again, not to say that we're not there to help.
Right.
A lot of times I ask people that it's not very often you see a cat skeleton in a tree. They usually come down even if it's days later. But you're right in that the things we do behind the scenes, we really, really want to help the community. That's the bottom line of what we're here for. Throughout the whole COVID ordeal over the last 15 months now.
How did y'all deal with that?
Thankfully and fortunately, we did not have a lot of direct issue from it in the fire department. And part of that's because we don't directly run EMS. We have Sylacauga Ambulance here that does a great job with their EMS program. So that was a significant portion of that. But anyway, they've had food trucks coming in all around the community. The fire department has helped unload countless of those food trucks because, again, we're there to help the people and to really have the heart to make people's lives better.
Some simple tips as we leave the folks this morning about the 4th of July, and hot season is upon us, and things can burn quicker now than they normally would burn.
That's right. So another just a reminder out there, we are under the 8M burn ban that we go under every year, and it's not a fire related thing, it's an air quality related thing that's done by the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. Basically saying you're not supposed to be burning anything. Now, if you have a celebratory fire, there's some slight little exclusions in there, but as a general rule.
But there's some teeth in that too.
There are, and ADEM's not something you want to mess with.
Yeah.
So, they can find you quick, fast, and in a hurry. But again, you mentioned the 4th of July. Just keep your head on a swivel. Make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing, and everybody have fun and be safe.
Y'all still doing tours?
Anytime. We're there 24/7. Obviously, we don't want somebody necessarily coming by the station at 11 o'clock at night wanting to look at fire trucks, but during the day, 8 to 5, come on by and we'll let the kids look at the fire trucks.
What's your favorite meal you cook at the firehouse?
Oh, goodness. It's got to be something related to I'm a big seafood fan. There's a meal that I got turned on to a while back that is a fish that has like this sriracha scallion topping on it that's really good. I like cooking that.
What is a food that someone else cooks at the firehouse that you like?
Oh, goodness gracious. All the staples are there. Your hamburger steaks, your spaghettis, your
we're going to eat.
Pots of chili, you name it. It's probably been cooked at a fire station.
Nate Osgood, the Fire Chief, Sylacauga Fire Department. You know, we applaud these guys. They're oftentimes first on the scene, and their lives are on the line. And Nate, we appreciate what you guys do and salute you and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Happy 4th of July.
Same to you.
More Daybreak right around the corner.